Hey, Nicole.
Hey, what's going on, Nikay?
We are back. We're back. We're back.
Yes,
All right. So, before we get into what movie we're doing today, let's talk about our sponsors.
definitely. We don't have any unofficial snack sponsors today because I'm doing this from a undisclosed location. A snack was I can't shout out Brita Pitcher, the Brita bottle.
There you
I'm
go.
telling you, I got this from Bed Bath and Beyond,
Mhm.
but I hate to say it, Target had a better sale on it. I want to say they're like 16.99. I used my coupon at Bed Bath and Beyond. Didn't quite get to the 16.99 part, but I'm telling you, if you want to get your water in and get good filtered water, this is the way to go. So I guess I do have an unofficial snack sponsor,
There you
but overall, we have some real sponsors that make this world go around, which is Irby Entertainment. Now, the exciting news about Irby is that we are now DJing in Qatar, which is in Saudi Arabia. So, and we're doing that in a few hotels
Okay.
there, because every hotel has a club. Um, so we're doing a few of those, and we have some DJs under us. But if you're interested in an international DJing company, and we also have an apparel line that we are rolling out, then definitely check us out. This is the brainchild of Raymond Bailey, and of course me. This is one of my businesses. So definitely check out Urban Entertainment.
Okay. And then the people who keep you together.
Yeah, Sheer Dallas Salon. And for once, I'm not up here with my hair like like on the brink of collapse. But yeah, this is Kiki Jones's salon, and she's out of Chesapeake, Virginia, which is the Sam Circle area. So those of you all that are familiar with the Greenbrier Battlefield area, this is where she's located. But Miss Sweetie is the lady who actually did my hair this time. And I had to get some things done because I was struggling. So needless to say, if you want, someone that is going to care for your natural hair, and as a group of ladies that are out of that salon, please get in contact with Kiki Jones or Miss Sweetie or those lovely ladies at Sheer Dazzle Salon in Chesapeake.
All right. And last but not least,
It's Color You Cosmetics. So if you're interested in my look, this is a very natural beat. As a matter of fact, I'm not even wearing foundation. I'm wearing the powder today. So that's just letting you know how good their product is. If I'm just wearing the powder and a little bit of blush, and of course, the eyebrow pomade, because we all know I have been naturally struck down with with eyebrow alopecia.
oh my God.
I could grow hair everywhere else, but my eyebrows are so sad. It's tragic. So you too can give to the Nicole to Candace eyebrow alopecia fund. It's just as serious. But yeah, Color You Cosmetics, and this is a brainchild of Karen Styling. She's a phenomenal woman that has her own cosmetic line as well as her own MUA school. The MUA school is actually located here in Norfolk, but she sells her products out of Norfolk, Virginia, as well as Lithonia, Georgia. But you can look for her online and order her products online and get color matched today.
Sweet, sweet. And so today we're talking about events that took place in your backyard.
Yes, phenomenal.
Hidden.
Hidden Figures.
Mhm.
And the wonderful thing about history is that it's so much out here and it's so rich that, if you talk to the right people, you ask the right questions, a lot of who we are cannot be found in the history books or, can't be found in movies. So it's that, asking questions and kind of digging deeper to find out who these people are, because who would have known,
Right.
out of Hampton, Virginia, we
Mm-hmm.
had these phenomenal women to actually touch the NASA program. As a matter of fact, we do have NASA here in Virginia. A lot of people, they're familiar with the military bases. They're also familiar with the fact that we have the federal government here is really big in this area. But who would have thought that we are connected to um, our ambitions to to take over space exploration, which is something that we did under the JFK administration. And,
Mm-hmm.
that gives you the historical context of when all this happened. that was one of the last things that JFK was able to initiate outside of, him when it came to civil rights. But Johnson had to push that through because, of course, he was assassinated before he could sign that bill into law.
Mhm.
But space exploration came under him. So we're talking about women who existed during a time that women were still, the majority of the women in this country was still working at home.
Right.
They were still, or they were domestics, or they, if they did go to school, they went to school to be school teachers and
Or
couldn't marry. That's a whole
secretaries.
other story. That's scary,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You could, you had to be one of those type of people. So, it was very limited as to what we could do. And we're not even going to talk about how limiting it had to have been to be an African American female. So you're having those two stripes against you.
Hmm.
So yep, it all happened here. So Nikkei, what did you think about,
All of
what
the
you learned?
all of the things you're bringing up, because I was like, for a single mom to be putting in these kind of hours in this particular field in 1960, 1961,
Yeah.
light cutting across me. Anyway, that in itself is an enormous deal. And I don't know if we could ever fully appreciate how big that was for that time, for the very reasons that you said. Being African American, you weren't allowed. Heck, they didn't even have bathrooms in that
Exactly.
building. She had to walk a
No.
mile, 2 miles, just to go back and forth to the bathroom, and had to take her work with her because no matter what, the work had to be done.
Can be done.
So it's like, for everything that was going on around that time, segregation was still a thing.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they were just starting to get black kids into desegregated schools and things like that. So it's a whole history lesson. And the thing that I found myself saying is, thank God my granddaughter will learn about this in school, because you and I didn't.
Well, the plus for me, I was able to learn about it in school because
Okay.
of school I attended. But no, this isn't something that is pushed out, unfortunately. And I am a public educator. It's not something that is really pushed out through our curriculum,
Right.
through public education. And that, which means that, and that's just across the board, which means that, as learned people, like, like my grandparents would say, if you went to school, you were learned.
Right.
As learned people, we have to take it upon ourselves to educate our children when it comes to themselves and what it is that we want them to know, because we just can't leave it up to any system to give them the richness of anything, not
Right.
just, history, but when it comes to whatever topic or vocation that you really want them to study or be proficient at, you have to take that extra initiative to expose them. But, what's interesting about this area in particular, we're known for desegregating schools ourselves, as well as massive resistance. To see the massive resistance actually happen in the state.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like there's so much that when if you look at a timeline of when all these events happen, how everything kind of all rolled out. It
Hmm.
it really lets you know that it wasn't that long ago, and I think that people, we've had a lot of advancements, and you have to think that these people would have been the age of my grandmother. So, and one of them died, I want to say maybe like 2 years ago, like right
Yeah.
before the pandemic.
Katherine
So,
Johnson.
yeah, so with that, you think about these are people that we could have touched ourselves,
Yep.
talked to, experience, know, or we could have talked to our grandparents. Oh yeah, I remember her. She went to school with me, or we went to church together, or we went to Hampton, or I knew her from this particular club or organization. So we're not that far removed from. It's so interesting. We are, but we're not.
Right.
And I think we take for granted that a lot of these changes have happened within 2 generations, and I want to say a generation is considered 25 years. So within 2 generations, a lot of changes have occurred.
Hmm.
But I love learning and watching smart women. It's something
Yes.
about it, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
intellectuals, and good at math and science, which is Nikkei and I are kind of nerdy in our own way. So, so when, when you think about women who are that smart and that
Mhm.
gifted, that is like phenomenal.
And the fact that there were people there who recognize the need beyond their discomfort, whatever it may have been, who said, okay, there's a bigger picture. We ain't used to black people sitting up in this space, but we have to make sure someone goes up in space and comes back alive. So
Exactly,
that's
because
the person that's qualified to do it.
exactly. And when if you've ever like done any study of the whole frontier to space, with the fact that we were in competition with the Soviet Union
Mm-hmm.
in order to make this happen first, and
Right.
that there was a race in order to have it so that we would be the one that can say that we can land someone on the moon, or we could actually peel back the layers of the atmosphere and be in a whole nother dimension, so to speak. All of that happened before real computers. What we know, you can hold, this is another one of my phones, you can actually hold a computer in your hand.
Right.
This was when computers took up a whole room. My father worked for the city of Norfolk, and he worked when they would call them mainframes,
Mm-hmm.
when one particular computer took up a huge room. So could you imagine, you're doing the math and you're
Mm-hmm.
putting together the formulas to allow someone to do something that we didn't have any type of foreknowledge on at all, outside of the Wright brothers being able to fly a plane here, under these conditions. So to be able to think outside of that box, and how many times have we been to space? How many times have, we have satellites. The fact that what we're doing right now is because of a satellite that was able to be planted, up in the heavens. It speaks to what these ladies were able to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can't block brilliance.
Right.
Eventually brilliance has to shine through, and they had to accept that they had the knowledge that was necessary in order to make this happen. So the case you're watching a movie, and I'm not sure, because you're a reader, she's also a writer, you all. um so this was a book that was turned into a movie, which is
Mm-hmm.
always to me, I think it's a good thing, because if you're a reader, being able to see how close the movie came to
Came
what you
to it.
kind of put together in your head, when it came to how these ladies looked, how they acted, how
Mm-hmm.
everything unfolded. Have you read the book, or did
I
you just watch the
have.
movie?
I didn't realize before watching the movie that it was based on a book, because I'm embarrassed to tell you how long this movie has been sitting on my to watch list. So I watched it especially for this show, but of course, as I was watching it, I found myself going, how much of the story did they leave out?
Yeah,
Because
that
they
part.
kept it, even though, you're watching it and you're like, wow, what was it like for her to be the only person and the only black woman in the room while all of this was
Yeah.
going on? What was it like to be reluctantly depended upon? What was it like for her boss to have to make some of these hard decisions? All of those things would have been laid out in detail in the book. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where my head was with it. I think overall, they told a pretty straightforward story. These women were here. They were told from the onset, you're temporary. You're here until we don't need, once we get this computer set up, we might need some of you. We might not. We can't make any promises. Was kind of the general attitude. But I like the way they framed the entire thing.
I'm eternally grateful that they did not disappear into obscurity. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we may not have fully known about them until the movie came out, but the fact that there's written history to know they even existed, because so much of who we are and what we've done and what we've accomplished has been erased, hasn't been told, hasn't been written down, and there isn't anyone that can retell those stories, because the people that were there to experience them firsthand are no longer with us. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that this one made it is, it gives me hope when it comes to people really understanding what it is to be black and brilliant. in a
Mm-hmm.
time when neither one of those things were supposed to be in the same space or even fully appreciated or realized.
Yeah.
Um, and as we're coming out of Black History Month and we're going into Women's Month, and celebrating that, you know, that's a lot to be said about the story of women and how we've
Mm-hmm.
impacted history all along, and our story needs to be told and needs to be celebrated, and not just by women and girls, but also by men
Mm-hmm.
that are husbands and fathers and that have women in their lives in order to kind of uplift them and just let them know, hey,
Yeah.
if they could do it, you can do it. And I think that's why stories like this are so important.
Mm-hmm. I think one other thing that comes to mind is look at the doors that they open for other
Yes,
women, regardless of ethnicity.
exactly.
They open the door for so many others to walk into NASA and not be limited to being a secretary, but actually be on the team that's making things move. So it's they don't get into that in the movie, but it's there. It's
It's
there.
it's there, and you think about how it takes someone to be willing to be under that type of pressure. When I think about stories like this, it's the weight and the gravity. As we're sitting in theaters or in the comfort of our own homes with our surround sound, and
Mm-hmm.
we're watching somebody else's life, someone had to walk that.
Yeah.
Someone had to breathe that. Someone had to eat that. Someone had to sleep in that every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we've had, I was looking at Facebook today and someone posted saying, I'm so tired of living through these first ever experiences or or international crisis. And it's the truth,
Yeah.
because you feel like, oh my God, from there's a group of children that they were born the year of 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and just about every year they've experienced something wackadoodle. And but what era of time has it been where people haven't? Now, whether you recognize it or not, or felt it or not, or it had a direct impact with on you, it is an individual experience. But
Right.
overall, stuff has been happening all the time. But
Yeah.
when you look at these ladies, you think to yourself, how hard had it have been to? I have to prove myself. I can't be wrong. I don't know what that's like to not be
I couldn't
able.
function under that kind of pressure. I would have snapped. This is why I was born, what, 15 years later and not
Is
then, because I
exactly.
would have been in trouble.
Right? That's a tremendous amount of pressure. And you think that there have been people to break and crack under less. Um, it's the resiliency. And I like watching these movies because what it does is that it helps me look at my life and say, well, if you think you're doing something, you might want to think again
Hello.
and do more and be a better and a greater contributor, not just for your own well-being and for your own wealth, but
Mm-hmm.
for mankind overall, because what they didn't get rich off of this. They didn't. I'm not even sure, how much money, if any, they really made off their story really being truly being told.
Yeah.
And by the time it was at the age that they were,
Mm-hmm.
did they really profit from it? They probably didn't. Of course, they had a stellar career and they're remembered, but when you do certain things like this, you don't do it. I don't even think they did it even fully understanding what ramifications it would have on race relations, or
Right.
when or women in the workplace relations. It was more like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been hired to do a job and I need to be good at what it is I do because I have a family to feed.
Right.
I have to stand on this degree that I have and all this knowledge and present the very best of who I am. And if it so happens to translate into being bigger than that and greater than that, that's nice. But
Mm-hmm.
immediately in front of me, there's a task
Yeah.
at hand.
I got 3 kids.
That part,
You
and
know.
folks around here scrambling with one. I'm just like, tighten up. It's like, It's like that. It's like these movies just have the ancestors pretty much looking at everyone like tighten up, get it
Right,
together.
right. Exactly, exactly. But thank God for what they did. Because,
Exactly.
like you said, at least, like my granddaughter can look at that and go, oh, I can do what she did. And the obstacle of women can't do that is not as prominent as it used to be. I'm not going to say it's non existent, it's just not
No.
as prominent as it used to be. She has three known examples now that she can say, I
Yes,
can do that.
I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. So, let's get into the part of recommend, how did you overall feel about the movie? I know for me, um, sorry about that. There's an alarm on the phone. Okay. When it comes to whether you're recommended to watch it, it's already clear that we'll definitely recommend it. Okay, let's see if I'll turn it. That is so odd. I thought that this was turned off. I apologize, you all. How unprofessional of me to have this phone like
It's all
going
right.
off the background. Um, I know that we'll recommend it, but I know for me, I think that it's important for the level of representation that
Mm-hmm.
is happening in this film that it be seen. And I think that, if you have any young ladies in your life that, that you want them to become more interested or more encouraged that they can be mathematicians or scientists or in computer science or any other in any other fields of STEAM or STEM, because they've added extra letters to all that, you know, I think that it's important to just make them aware of this film, and as they get older, maybe even be aware of the book to be able to read it, So that's a stand as an educator. I think that's something that should be shared with our girls, and not just girls of color, just girls, period,
Right.
because it is a story that can be their story, but for a
Mm-hmm.
different reason.
Yeah, I agree. This, I think, is just automatic. Make sure they play it in every history class from kindergarten through high school. Annual
Right.
watching along with Malcolm X and all of that other stuff. Um, in the space where I work in the nonprofit area, but we deal with youth as well. We actually have a young lady who comes in and teaches does STEM related activities with the girls because it is still somewhat popular to say, you're a girl, you can't do that. And again, this just backs it all up. This is just the exclamation point on the sentence of yes, you can. So, absolutely, this is 5 star for me.
And what's interesting is that, we haven't picked a movie recently that you and I have differed much on. So that means we have to get something that's a little bit more controversial um because I think that we work best when we don't get along. And that's interesting because, like, I mean, for those of you all that are fans of this page and fans of us being on Facebook, you recognize that there is a love-hate relationship between the K and I. It's like it's a sisterly thing, but
It's
I'm
all
telling
her.
you.
It's all her. I let everybody.
But I think we need something where we can differ on, because when we differ, boy, it gets interesting. But this is something I think that, anybody has a problem with this movie, I don't even want those kind of people in my space, because it's a positive film. It's historically based. Let's let's get with that.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, there were only winners and no losers in this film, which says a lot for
Right.
a film that has historical relevance and accuracy. A lot of times, there are losers, but this is one of those rare films where, where is a loser or losers in this? Everyone won. Space exploration has gone forward. We have more women in the math and science fields of STEAM
Mm-hmm.
fields, and we've been able to advance far from what technology looks like then to what it looks like now. So there's only winners. But
Absolutely.
It's a good film to watch. Don't just watch for Black History. And where I would also expound, also being an educator, um, broaden your knowledge base when it comes to African Americans or Africans or people of any minority descent that have contributed to humanity as a whole, because we get so stuck on the easy names like Martin Luther King, George Washington Carver. And, I think our children need to know that we're so much more, or those people, or people of
Mm-hmm.
color are so much more than just a few caricatures of folks that actually existed. But you kind of like put them on a pedestal, and we act like they did everything, or what they did contribute was all there is to know
All
about.
that needed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
the richness. So I would say that's every time movies like this come up, I'm glad that it's opening up the floodgates as to people who are different than who we've been pushed out to really focus on historically when it comes to how they've impacted this country. So definitely do that. So Nikkei, we do have some information to share when it comes to the next movie that we'll be discussing for the month of March, which is tomorrow.
We haven't decided on the next
Oh,
movie.
that's right. It was
We
kind of like we're in talks and negotiations, you all, so have to stay tuned.
Yeah, we got to figure out our scheduling and all of that stuff. But I'm
Yeah,
thinking we're going to continue through the month of March with women.
I believe so. That's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. This is Women's Month, so if you have women in your life, please honor and celebrate them, and learn more about their plight, just overall historically, and just the sensitive nature of different topics that are related, to us, especially girls, because when you we have a generation of young ladies that are developing into the women that that are going to take over and lead in
Right.
the future. So we kind of want to know as much about them as possible, and feed them, and give them all the information they can in order for them to be strong in
Right.
society. So we have that. So that's what we're going to be leaning towards. And then also to kind of let you all know that we're in a variety of places. Um, we are on Facebook. We have a group that's Movies at Movie,
Mm-hmm.
and we get up there and we discuss other movies outside of this. We also discuss what makes up movies, like the soundtrack. Some of the movies are based off books, some of them are based off people. So we really dig deep, and we share information as a group of us that does that. But it is a closed group, so that means that you have to answer the three magic questions in order to be a part of it. But it's not to exclude anybody, it's only to include people that are willing to just to hear about community guidelines, and
Right.
and come in with some positivity.
And
The
genuinely want to engage in the conversation.
Yes,
We
definitely,
want to
definitely,
talk to you guys about this stuff. So.
we do. And we're on YouTube, but we're under Media That Moves We. We're under that umbrella. So look for us under Media That Moves We, and we have a variety of movies that we have already done. The K and I, it was a threesome. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
Don Mescal, the founder of this platform and this whole movement, is deceased now, and he's gone with the ancestors. But we would continue on in his stead, and live the dream, build and live the
Mm-hmm.
dream that he set for us. But definitely follow your moderators. We have Nikkei here.
Well,
We
we're
had
going to start with Don since we were just
Don.
talking about him.
That's
Um,
right.
he I can't say was, he is a writer. I can't bring myself to say it. So
Yeah.
go and check out the works that he's left behind. DonMiskel.com. Go back over his blog. Check him out on Amazon. He had what, four books, three books, three
Yeah.
anthologies. He wrote. He wrote.
He's a part of several anthologies, and he had books of his own. So definitely, wherever you see that's of interest to you, it does go to his estate and to his family. So definitely contribute in that respect, and share his works with others, because that's how ultimately we live on through our legacy as artists, is our works going on before us long after we're gone. So we kind of want to continue in that same mindset and framework.
Yes, yes. And then you can find Nicole at NicoleDeCandice.com.
Yes, you can find me there, but you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. And I have some new content coming out. So I'm excited about that because I'm going in a different direction now. It's been a long time coming. But eyes here, eyes here. It sounds like silly. Waving
Oh.
the back of the car, eyes here.
Uh, all right. And then you will find me at nikkeiwrites.wordpress.com and also Nikkei Writes on Facebook. I'm working on stuff. I'm working on stuff. We'll get that whole space nice and prettier for you, but feel free to back blog. I love back bloggers. Go read it, comment on it, share it, all that good stuff. All right. And at the top of the show, we opened with Robert Rice Jr., who was also a good friend
Yes,
of Don's. Check him out at smoothology.net. He has his music there waiting for you to enjoy and download. All right. And so that wraps us up for today.
it does.
And we will be back next week. We'll let you know what we're coming.
Yes, we'll
I
let
have
you know.
some ideas. So, all right, folks. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, bye bye.
Bye.